Have you ever wondered what's the best way to check if a variable has a value in Lava? If you're like me, you've probably realized there's lots of different ways you could do it, but what's the best? Well, we've done the work, and here's the answer. The too long didn't read. The best and safest way to test for a non-empty value in Lava is this pattern right here. So here we have a variable called glass contents, and we want to see if it has a value. So in this case, we say if glass contents is not equal to null and glass contents is not equal to empty. So empty is a keyword. This is the best way to see if glass contents has a value. Now on the flip side, if we want to see if it's empty, we would say if glass contents is equal to null or glass contents is equal to empty. Simply put, this is the best way to do it. Now stick around if you want to see more about what's going on under the covers. So let's take a look and see how this actually works. So here's our analogy. Our variable is going to be a kitchen counter, and our variable here again is glass contents. So our counter can have a value. So in this case, we have a cup on our counter, and the cup actually has a value. The other state that this variable could be in is that it could have a cup, but it's empty. The third state is there is no cup, and that's the null state. So null is oftentimes confusing. What's the difference between null and empty? Well, null is a cup that doesn't even exist. We have a counter, we have a variable, but there's nothing on it. So there's other ways you could probably do this. So you might be saying, but what about testing with empty strings? So this would be like a single quote open, single quote close. That will work with some data types, like strings, but it doesn't work with all data types. So what we would say is, don't do this. It could lead to unexpected results. You might also be saying, but what about testing for the existence of the variable? So in some Liquid documentation, you often see this pattern where they say if glass contents and glass contents not equal to null and glass contents not equal to empty. And what we found is you don't need to do this in Lava. This is a check that's just simply not needed. So don't do it, not needed. Now, if you wanted to dig in to say, well, why would you ever do that? Going back to our analogy of the kitchen counter and the various cups, testing for if glass counter is basically saying, is there even a counter? So remember, the variable was the kitchen counter, the cups were the values. And in that check, we're just saying, hey, does that variable even exist? And you don't need to do that. Now, what we did to look into this was to create a fact table or truth table. And this is a very handy practice if you're having other questions in Lava and you just want to get a deeper insight of how things work. And you'll find this truth table, this fact table underneath the video. So take a look at that. It's a good pattern, again, to use as you're going through questions that you might have with your technical understanding. So again, too long didn't read. The best and safest way to test for a non-empty value is to test if the variable is null or empty.